everybody. I'm Jay. He's Maddie. This is Yankee and the Brit Sports Talk. And today we're going to preview Week 7. But first, Maddie, let them know what you got going on with Travel Story Society.
So the Travel Story Society is a website and a podcast where you can go see other people's travel stories from around the world. So during this time where we're not sure where we're able to go and if we're able to go or when we can come back and all of that kind of stuff. But with everything opening up again, then it's a great place to go if you're looking for just some inspiration for travel. Our podcast is coming out real soon for you guys to check out. So definitely go see that, where we just talk about people's travel stories all the way through, and then go check out the website as well. That's www.travelstorysociety.com.
All right. And now on to Week 7. But before we start, I know this is about football, but I got to do it. Shout out to my Larry O'Brien holding NBA champion Bucks for coming in opening night and sticking it to the supposedly best team in the NBA. All right, Now to football. I had to throw that out there. Let's start with the Lions-Rams, just because NFC North guy and Dan Campbell came out, took a shot at Jared Goff, which I think he was just trying to light a fire under his ass. I definitely think the Rams win this, but I'm really hoping to see the Lions put a good game in.
I find it weird that he called out Jared Goff, to be perfectly honest. Like, Jared Goff's been fine. He's been fine. He's got them into positions to win. Like against you guys in Minnesota, they should have won that game. He put you in a position to win that game, and the defense fell apart. Same at the Ravens as well. Like the defense let them drive down the field. He's put them in positions to win games. He's probably got the highest completion percentage of quarterback. Look, Jared Goff's a perfectly fine quarterback. He's in the top 20 in the NFL. There are lots of teams that could do with a Jared Goff, and I think it's just a light of fire under his ass as well. I think Matthew Stafford comes back to Detroit, or to play Detroit. Is it home or away? Anyway, he plays Detroit for the first time
in
not being a Lion. It's in LA. He plays Detroit for the first time not being a Lion, and he puts up some massive numbers, I think.
I think he's going to come out, and I don't think there's bad blood. It's not one of those far back to Green Bay type things or anything like that. But It's always like, look what you could have had if you'd have just done this right type thing.
But it's also just like, you like to beat your brother. Like, I like to be down on my brother if I'm playing him in sport and I'm better than them. I will not, I like to be my dad when I'm able to and stuff like that. Like, you don't the people that you love, you want to get one over on as much as you possibly can. And that's why I think it is. And Stafford is going to come out and light it up. And me and Jay are playing each other in the fantasy football league, and I have Matthew Stafford as my quarterback. So I'm hoping he does light it up.
Yeah, it should be a fun game to watch. I was going to say a good game, but I think we all are pretty convinced on the outcome. But I'm excited just to see where the Lions are going from here. And it's always a good time to watch Matthew Stafford go and play his old team.
Yeah, I don't think the Lions will be totally out of it either. I think they'll pull up a fight like they have been all season. They'll put up a fight and then fall away towards the end of the fourth quarter.
Well, we'll just move on to a game for me is the most exciting of the week, and it's the Chiefs-Titans. And I'm not even going to stop, Maddie. I'm rolling with the Titans again.
This is a Titans win for me. I'm not particularly sure how close it'll be, because this is the worst matchup in the NFL for the Kansas City Chiefs. And it's always been their difficult matchup, is like a team that can run. And what Derrick Henry has more yards after the catch, more yards after contact than every other running back in the league has altogether. Like that's an insane stat. He has something like 500 yards after contact, 700 yards altogether, and we're just in week 6 of the NFL. They're just going to run it down his throat and hope to keep Mahomes off the pitch. But obviously, the Titans' defense isn't exactly setting the world alight themselves. So possibly a high-scoring game, or possibly a ball versus Chargers situation where one of the quality NFL is in the pitch.
No, I don't disagree. I agree with everything you just said. I think the Titans win this game because their defense is going to be good enough to hold the Chiefs offense, and I think the Titans are just getting rolling and turning into the team I thought they could be at the beginning of the year. Yeah. And then how do you stop Derrick Henry? I mean, like, just when he gets a head of steam going, even if you're a safety, you got to get blown up just to tackle it.
It's how do you stop Derrick Henry when you can't stop normal running backs as well with the Chiefs? Like, I wonder what they're planning to do. Just fill the box, and they're going to have to fill the box and make Tannehill beat them. But Tannehill can beat you. They have a good wide receiving core in Tennessee. So, and filling the box against Derrick Henry doesn't seem to work. It's what everybody does. And he still has rushed for 700 odd yards with 6 weeks into the NFL season.
Well, and I agree with your receiving core, because you look at a receiving core and Julio Jones is your second best receiver. It says something.
Yeah. Yeah, they're an incredible team. They should be way better than they are being. They should have a better record than they do have right now, or have played more impressively than they had been up until last week. And I fear for the Chiefs in this game. I really, really do. I really do fear for them in this game.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. This is my game of the week for me that I'm most excited about watching because of the matchups, which will probably mean it's the most boring game. But to a game tonight that I think will be oddly exciting just because of the teams, and maybe Case Keenum comes out there and plays free. I don't know how he'll feel, but the reason they're big in the news today is because everybody's seeing that Deshaun Watson looks like he might be going to Miami in the next week or two. So reports have surfaced that the Broncos and the Washington football team are both very interested in Tua, which makes sense to me in Denver because you know what you got with Teddy. Lock's not the answer. But for tonight, I think the Browns lose because they're so depleted. But Landry might play tonight, so we'll see. That would be a shining star for them. The only thing they got going for them is they're in Cleveland and they got a good defense.
Yeah, and this is I just want to point this out to everybody. We were talking about this like literally a couple of days before this news came out of, what if Deshaun Watson goes to Miami and then Cleveland pick up Tua because then they don't have to pay Baker Mayfield as much. And Tua and Baker Mayfield are very, very similar quarterbacks. They've got very, very similar skill sets. Like they're both good enough when you have an amazing roster around. Baker Mayfield's obviously injured for this game. Case Keenum comes in, who's a cracking backup. I like Case Keenum. A lot of people compare Baker Mayfield to Case Keenum when he comes out. Case Keenum's a good enough quarterback to go on and win this game, but I think the Broncos win as well because if the Browns had their running game, then I would go for this. But I think the Broncos defense is good enough to cause some serious issues for backup quarterback and depleted weapons.
Yeah, and they're both good defenses, so this should be a defensive game and who can score. The only thing that really hurts the Browns is their whole running game or whole backfield is out. That really hurts. And for my sake, I hope that my Wisconsin boy has a huge night for the Broncos. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, and there's just no continuity in the backfield at all. There's just no continuity in the backfield for them. It's going to be difficult to win. It's going to be close. I'm not saying they're going to get blown out or anything. It'll be close, but Broncos win for me. All right, on to a game where a team I think has the perfect matchup to get back on the winning side of football. It's the Panthers-Giants. I actually think it'll probably be a closer game than most people think, but I think the Giants are one more loss away from that locker room turning.
Yeah, I'm going for the Panthers in this one as well. Just the Giants just can't seem to win. It's not like they're even playing that badly. Like they're not like Daniel Jones has put up some big numbers in some weeks, and they're not playing too badly. They're injured all over the place. Their offensive line's garbage, and that's a recipe for disaster. Yeah, so the Panthers are a good team, like around 500, 600-ish in terms of their record is what I think they're going to get at the end of the season. And like Sam Darnold's a good enough quarterback. Like they have a good enough offensive line. They should really get this game done, in my opinion. This is a good matchup for them, especially with all the Giants injuries as well.
Yeah, and I just think like the Giants have had really weird cultural stuff go on already in their locker room.
Yeah.
I think the Panthers are a better team, definitely. So I think the Giants give them a little bit of trouble, but the Panthers end up winning that game. By time it's over, it's probably more comfortable than it felt like for the first couple quarters.
Yeah, but only because the Giants having to play from behind, so they're throwing on them. That kind of game where they get behind and then they chase, and that's how it ends up getting out of hand. I think it's going to be a close game. The Giants are better than their record suggests. The Panthers are about where their record suggests. So it'll be a close game, but Panthers win for me.
Yeah, and that also makes me think, do the Panthers quick come up with a package to get Deshaun Watson over there before Miami does? There could be some bidding war going on right now with the Texans that we don't even know about because things stay very quiet until they happen.
It's such a surprise that they're able to keep that story quiet. What got to whoever gets to break this news in for a massive payday. So there's got to be some big checks for information out there for anybody who wants to give any information for Deshaun Watson. And I'm impressed that nobody's bitten yet.
Yeah, so it should be interesting where he ends up. All signs point to Miami, but Carolina could be another one. It's just how comfortable is your owner with the situation that's going on and what are you willing to give up? On to another NFC North game, the Packers versus the football team. I think this is a close game for the first two to 3 quarters. Then the Packers comfortably put this thing away just because the Washington football team, I think, is good enough to hang around, make some plays against that defense. But all in all, Aaron Jones, Aaron Rodgers, and Devontae Adams are way too much for Washington to handle.
What's wrong with the Washington football team in the minute? I still cannot fathom how things have gone so wrong for them in terms of defense is what surprises me. Like, I expected their offense to be terrible, but I can't fathom what's going on with them. Yeah, it's a Packers win for me, and very much like you, I think that the football team will be in it until halftime, and then Rodgers and Adams will come out and put on a show afterwards, I think.
Yeah, that was a pretty easy game. I think most people feel the same way. Like, Washington's good enough to make it a game for a half, but then
I'm surprised at how bad they are. Like, they might get it all together at some point in the season.
All right, on to the Falcons-Dolphins. And I'm pretty sure that the Dolphins are going to end up 1-6 after going 10-6 last year, because I don't think the Dolphins have a shot right now with the way things are going in Miami. I think the culture's blowing up. I think they don't have any faith in Tua. They don't have a solid backup. Everybody can say what they want about Jacoby Brissett. He played good at other places, but he is not fitting in with Miami right now. And do you play Tua if you're trying to trade him too? I'm not sure even if he's ready, how that goes. And I actually think the Falcons are getting better. Even though they don't have a great record, I think they're getting better.
The Falcons have clicked in terms of their offense. Their offense has clicked now. They like Kyle Pitts and Matt Ryan seem to have a good connection in London. They seem to know what each other thinking and what's going on. Kind of like, I don't understand what's happened with the Dolphins. They're like the Washington football team as well. They're meant to be a top 5 defense in the NFL, and they're just not there. They're not there at all. And it's incredibly surprising to me. I'm picking the Falcons in this one, but I'm predicting a very close game in it. I'm predicting a very, very close game in this one. We're agreeing too much.
Yeah, it's one of those weird weeks, though, where everything's going to go sideways because it looks like there's not great matchups, and that's when you have great football.
Yeah, of course. Definitely. That's a close one. That's my most 50-51 so far. Oh, and the Browns-Broncos. The Browns-Broncos and the Dolphins-Falcons is my 2 most 50-51 so far.
Well, on to a game that I don't think is even going to be very close because I think the Raiders are riding a high right now of their new coach. I think a lot of guys feel relieved that Gruden's gone from some of the stuff coming out. And it wasn't a personal thing, what I'm reading. I don't want people to think that the players felt like Gruden was racist because I haven't heard that. What they thought was his offense was very stale. he wasn't using their tight ends, other tight ends, because Wooler's amazing. He wasn't doing certain things that offensive coaches and players wanted to happen. Now they're opening that playbook up more. They seem to be more excited. I think they're riding an emotional wave that lasts another week or two before it dies. And they're playing the Eagles, who are just struggling everywhere.
Yeah, especially defensively, the Eagles, they're especially struggling on the defense, and that's why the Raiders are looking the most strong. The Eagles have an opportunity to get to Derek Carr a lot, is where I would say there's hope for the Eagles that, so the Raiders, the Eagles are just kind of struggling, especially defensively. I'm not going to. Jalen Hurts is playing well for me. I think Jalen Hurts has been a good quarterback. I think they've put up some big points in games without necessarily getting the wins, but defensively they look like they can get blown out every single game. But it looks like it's held to by sellotape stick time. I think it's not as bad as people thought it was going to be, so they're kind of getting away with it. But I think that's more of just how bad people thought it was going to be, rather than it's any good. And if they want to win this game, then they need to go and sack Derek Carr. So if I'm the Eagles, I'm risking getting blown out in the back end the entire time by just bringing pressure after pressure after pressure after pressure after pressure and seeing what happens. I'm picking the Raiders in this game because Derek Carr is a fantastic quarterback, and even in the face of pressure, he'll still be good. So, it's the Raiders for me, but there is a glimmer of hope for the Eagles if they're able to do that. But I agree with you about the emotional wave, and I'm interested to see where that falls off and how catastrophically it falls off, because it's the Raiders, so it'll inevitably happen. They're not going to make it all the way to this ball without having some sort of fall off.
Yeah, and you can only ride an emotional wave so long, so I'm not sure either. But on to a team who is literally the topic of all the NFL right now, but it's probably the biggest mismatch of the weekend with the Texans Cardinals. I think everybody agrees, maybe I'm wrong, the Cardinals win. I think what makes this really interesting is Deshaun Watson trade, and the fact that the Texans came out and said, not publicly, but this is being reported from inside the office, that the front office thinks that Davis Mills is actually better than Tua, so they don't want Tua in a trade.
I can see that. I don't think Davis Mills is better than Tua, but you get a lot more credit. You get a lot more credit for drafting the quarterback than trading for them. So if you've picked him out and drafted him, you're more likely to keep him for a bit longer. And I would like to see them go up against each other before making my judgment on that. But I don't think they would. I think every other team would pick Tua over Davis Mills, but Davis Mills has got longer on his contract and is their product. He's their draft pick, so you get more credit for that.
I agree, but I want to throw a little caveat in there, just personally opinion. If you were picking a starter, I think everybody takes Tua. If you're picking a guy to sit and develop, I think everybody a lot of people would pick Davis Mills.
Davis Mills probably has a higher ceiling than Tua, you're right. Yeah, definitely. But if they're picking a starter, which the Texans are picking, then that's what
Tua's floor is a lot higher.
Yeah.
Tua's floor is a lot higher. Davis Mills may have a higher ceiling, but I know that Tua can do certain things that I don't know about Davis Mills yet.
Yeah, definitely. We know how good Tua is. He's getting a lot of, considering he'd just come back from a really difficult injury, and now his team seems to be falling apart around him. It's difficult to explain what with all the hate on Tua and all of that kind of stuff. I presume the reason that we're talking about Tua, Deshaun Watson, and all of that is because we just, like everybody, think the Cardinals are absolutely going to dice up the Texans and blow them out.
Yeah, I might be wrong, but I don't think anybody, maybe outside of a delusional Texans fan, is picking the Texans in this game.
Yeah, and any given Sunday, something can happen. Any given Sunday, but nobody is picking them. Is what we want to put this on.
I don't even know who Kyler Murray's backup is, and if Kyler was out, I'm still picking the Cardinals.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
That team is stacked. I didn't know if the Cardinals were for real at the beginning of the year. I knew they'd be good. I didn't know they'd be this good. They are for real. I had questions about their coaching. I no longer have questions about their coaching. Their players were never the question to me. It was, can a guy come from college with a losing record and win? Well, the answer is yes. He's proven,
I told
yes.
you. I just want to say I said the Cardinals were real. I'm disappointed by not going more with my gut on the Cardinals and only giving them 11-6 at the start of the season. But that's just because we couldn't tell what was happening we can't tell what's happening in that NFC West. In that NFC West, that's a crazy division where any of the teams can beat each other and they'll also beat everybody else outside of their division. The NFC and the AFC West are two absolutely crazy that are possible to predict. The Cardinals are great. Xavier Collins draft being good. Gonna elect on the field. I look out for the guys that I picked to be good draft picks, where certain people thought they would be a bit lower and those kind of things. So I like to look out for those guys. But in looking out for those guys, I've been ashamed by the next person that we're going to go on to, and that's the Bucks versus the Bears. And my love for Justin Fields coming out of the draft is not getting rescinded as much as I would want it to be.
I don't even think I'm like, you know how I feel about Fields, so this is going to sound weird coming from me, but I don't think his struggles right now are actually his fault. I think they're not even giving him a chance to be in a good position. I don't know if he can be an NFL starter. I have some questions about his mechanics and different things, but you're not even giving this kid the opportunity to play to his strengths, which they better start real soon. Or like we just talked about the other day on our last video, Tua's going to get beat up for a few years and then one out.
Yeah, Fields is going to get beat up. Yeah, it's a difficult thing to strike with where Justin Fields is, because as you've been posting in the posting in the Yankee and the Brit page, what is his completion percentage, like 53% or something like that? That's
I don't know. I saw that meme and shared it because it was like, it caught me off guard, and I'm like, I wonder if people even know this.
Yeah, that is not good enough, 53%. But is that because he has no time to throw and nobody to throw the ball to? Like, so let's find out. Let's find Justin Fields a way to find out if he's any good before we make any judgment. This is a Buccaneers game, just simply because the Buccaneers will beat anybody, I'm convinced. I'd struggle to not pick the Bucs in every single game they go into.
Right, and there's a few teams out there that could beat them. I just don't think the Bears are one of them.
Yeah, definitely. And there are a few teams that could beat them. It's like I would give the Cowboys a decent chance to go back and play them and beat them now. I'd give the Cardinals a decent chance to play them now. But when you look at their lineup, they just overmatch everybody in every single position. And then when you have that with Tom Brady dicing you up from behind an absolutely awesome offensive line, then they're going to score loads of points and their defense can hold. You can't run on it. They've built a defense where you can't run on it, so you can't keep Tom Brady off the field. And for a lot of teams, if you can't run, then you're going to struggle to pass as well. And it's a suffocating kind of thing. And their defense hasn't looked as great as we thought it might do, but their offense is electric.
Well, on to the Sunday night game, which at a look, first glance, doesn't seem like it's going to be a great game, but every primetime game this year has been off the hook good and real close. So I'm excited to watch, but I got a question for the Colts, and I've been asking over and over. When do you sit Wentz so you don't have to give up a first-round pick in a year you're not going to make the playoffs? I don't understand that. But I got this being a close game, and oddly, the team I just said ain't going to make the playoffs, I actually have the Colts winning this game in a close one.
I've got the Colts winning this game in a close one as well. We're just agreeing in all of these. Hopefully the next game we'll disagree. But I've got the Colts winning this one. Trey Lance is out for the 49ers. Jimmy's had a little bit of an injury, so how good is he going to be coming back? They don't really look all that put together. Their roster is still fantastic. They just don't look all that put together. Like Carson Wentz, I would say sit him for the last 30% of the season rather than for any time before that.
just like 2 sprained ankles. The guy's been getting beat up. You're going to give up a first-round pick. You're going to miss the playoffs. I just think that sometimes you have to sit them, but I get that they're not far enough gone where they're mathematically eliminated, which is probably what they're waiting for. And Jonathan Taylor had the game of his life last week.
Yeah, and they've got a chance of a wild card spot. There are wild card spots available around it. They're playing in a shitty division, so they've got those teams that they can beat as well. Who is it? Jacksonville and the Texans in their division. So they've got wins against them coming down the line. There's a wild card berth there for them if they want to go for it. If it looks like it's off anywhere near the end of the season, then you sit Carson Wentz to make sure you don't give away the first round pick. But they do have a fire. That running game is an incredible running game. That Taylor running back destroyed me in fantasy team last week.
They better win this game, though. You better win the games you can win if you're the Colts and want to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
but it's the same thing for the Niners. You better win this game because you already had your bye if you're the Niners, which is awful to have your bye this early. So you better win the games you can win.
Yeah, this is a game that both teams have to win this game. Both teams have to win it because Tennessee are going to run away with the AFC South. And if you're playing for wild card spots in some of the AFC teams, like if you look, the AFC West could take all of the wild card spots if it really wants to. So you're going to have to start playing now. The 49ers, the Cardinals are running away with this division as it stands right now. So they need to play. They need to hurry up and get their act together and start clicking. And we'll see what happens. But I'm picking the Colts in this one.
Well, on to the Monday night game, which if Rusty was playing, or sorry, guys, I'm a Badger fan. If Russell Wilson was playing, Wisconsin, we call him Rusty. But if Russell Wilson was playing, I'd probably take the Seahawks. But because it's Geno, and I've just seen Geno play over his career, not to be that awful. He looked all right in his last game. But I think the Saints defense and the weapons they have, no matter what anybody feels about Jameis, because some people love him, some people hate him, I think the Saints easily win this game against the Seahawks, and not by like 17 points, but I don't think they trail at any point unless it's right in the beginning of the game and that they control it through the end. So I got the Seahawks losing to the Saints, putting the Seahawks in a position where they're in a lot of trouble for the playoffs too.
And we've agreed all the way down the list. I've got the Saints winning this one as well. I've got the Saints winning this one. And for anybody who has Jameis Winston sitting on the bench, or if he's in your league in fantasy team, I'd pick him up because the Seahawks can't defend at all. And they're going to be on the field. Like the Saints are going to be on the field a lot during this game. They'll find a way to keep it close. The Seahawks find a way to get their offense running. But if the Saints don't win this game, then this is a game that they need to win for the Saints as well. It's the same as the 49ers, same as the Colts. Whereas the Seahawks, you're down your only piece. So, like, you don't mind any games that you lose without Russell Wilson. Obviously, you want to win games without him. But if he's the only piece to your team, then if you lose a game without basically your entire team, then you've lost that game. But this is a game that the Saints should win. It's a game that they really have to win. So, Jameis Winston and I see guys out there.
And I'll be completely honest, as much as I pick the Saints and I like the Saints team, I'll be cheering for the Seahawks on Monday just because the Saints being at 3-3 is better for the Vikings than them being at 4-2. So we're at a weird spot in the season. It's still early, but I'm already cheering against teams that may be a problem for a playoff push for the Vikings. And I don't even know if the Vikings will keep winning or not. But at this point, you got to hope that everybody stays close if you're making a push for those wild card spots in the playoffs.
Yeah, and you should be a Cowboys fan, and then that won't be a problem because everybody in your division's absolutely awful. So even if we lose every game, like there's a chance that we could only win like 4 more games this entire year, and we'll still finish top of our division. So
win that thing at like 7-9 this year. Somebody like you guys won't, but like outside of you guys, if it wasn't the Cowboys, somebody could probably win that division at 7-9 or 7-10.
Yeah, definitely. I still don't think it's as bad as a division as everybody says because I'd say it's more of an unlucky division because
it's a
all the games are
rebuilding
close.
division.
Nobody really gets blown out. Yeah, nobody gets blown out that much. But the Saints are a rebuilding team, and they should win this one. If I'm like you, if it was Russell Wilson, then it'd probably be close because the Seahawks can't defend the pass. But yeah, that's it. What a week! What a week of football that's available to us.
Yeah, and like I said, there's not the greatest matchups, but again, those sometimes are the games that are the most exciting when you have like the Jets, Patriots, both teams together have 3 wins. But being a divisional game, it might come down to the last play and be a really exciting game. We don't know. But I do know the primetime games have delivered. So that's exciting. And I'm just excited for football and the fact that anybody in the Yankee and the Brit Fantasy Football League, just a reminder, halfway mark ends tonight with the Thursday night game. We start the second half. Week 13 is when the playoffs start. Anybody who's in it who hasn't read the format, playoffs are week 13 and 14. Championship is 15 and 16. We do not play on 17 and 18 because people will be holding out and resting guys, and that's not fair to the league, just so everybody follows the format and realizes where we are. All right, guys. Maddie and I are going to battle it out this week in fantasy football, and then next week we battle it out for real in the NFL. So keep an eye open. I'm sure Maddie and I will come up with something clever to bet each other. And we'll see if Shannon Sharp is right or Skip Bayless when it comes to that calf injury.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
All right, guys. Well, Maddie, if we make a bet, I will let you put the caveat in that the bet only stands if Dak plays.
Okay, it's very kind of you.
That's fair. I mean, I ain't trying to take advantage of Cooper Rush in betting you. You know what I'm saying? But if Dak's there, we definitely have to have a bet on the game.
Yeah. This sounds good to me. Sounds good.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Go over, check us out on YouTube. We're actually getting a little more play, but we need a lot more. So go check us out on YouTube. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.